What's going on, world? It's your boy KUYA P. This is Nerds Rule the World, and I'm so excited to bring back comics. Y'all know I love comics. I cover a lot of film because that's also my passion. And I actually have a guest today that dabbles in both, and we're going to be talking about his kind of first foray into comics. I have the amazing Michael Schwartz talking about his new book, Armored. How are you, Michael?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, Kuya. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to talk.
Oh, sir, thank you. I want to talk all the things because, again, you and I are very similar.
Yeah.
Comics world, film world, both sides of the camera for me, and you have this, that you're kind of diving now into this, and I'm sure you're feeling all the love and how amazing this ride can be. And yeah, so let's start it off. I'm going all over the place already. I'm a little scattered brained, but Armored, right now you have the new volume. Kickstarter campaign just launched. I'm gonna have the link in the description for everybody watching this right now. Please go and support Michael and Ishmael and everybody on the team to make this book happen. We need it. And if you've already read number one, the first 5 issues of that, you know how dope this is. This has been a hit all over the place in 2024. So please support the campaign. But Michael, you come from film. You have this idea. You decide to jump into comics. Where do we start with this? Was like comics your first love way back when, before the film world? How did Armored come to being?
Well, they definitely were parallel. Comic book love and movie love was happening at the same time. So my dad, it all came from my dad, I have to admit. So he was a big comic book collector. He would bring me to the comic shop at least every weekend or every other weekend. He got me a pull list by the time I was six years old. And then on top of that, he was also managing a chain of video stores in my hometown. So he was bringing home movies. He was recording movies off TV, and then also reading me comics at nighttime. So it's like both to me they go hand in hand in a lot of ways.
See that? Yeah. That's dope. Talk about an awesome upbringing. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. Like he used to, before bed, it was like he was reading me Spider-Man or Fantastic Four, like the Stan Lee era stuff. I'm pretty fortunate in that sense.
All right, I want to dive into that history at some point. I got to know how your kind of like storyline of a creative, because I always find that fascinating and interesting. But fast forward to now, you've already become successful in the film world. Last year, I don't know, or maybe it happened a little bit prior to last year. You maybe just launched the first set of books with Armored last year. When did this concept of Armored come into mind? Where did the kernel of an idea start?
The kernel popped in there in 2018. It was around then a few things happened. we had our second kid. This idea hit me, and also I had all my comic books stolen from my childhood. So it was a whole bunch of stuff happened.
Oh, heartbreaking.
And, it was a crazy time. It was like a lot happening. At that time, I swore off comics. I'd never collect again because that was like a devastating loss, having your childhood collection stolen. Not just that, it was like, my dad would take me to these conventions and I would have autographs, or I'd have, he used to basically, like comic book boards.
Oh yeah.
He'd get artists to draw on the back for me. So I had all that stuff taken.
I love that. That's super cool.
And so shortly after saying I would never collect again, I actually did start collecting. And then I was getting piles and piles of comics. There was a pawn shop near my house where they sell comics for 50 cents. So I was just amassing this collection that's insane. It's even bigger than my last collection that I had stolen. And I realized to myself, I said, I was reading them all too. Like they're all on my nightstand. I'd have stacks and I'd go through the stacks. And I said to myself, man, I'm reading more comics than I'm watching movies. Maybe I should, why am I writing so many movies? Maybe I should try writing a comic. I always wanted to be a comic artist growing up, but then that kind of fell away when I realized you could go to film school. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a director. That's what I'm going to do. And so that passion to become a comic book artist went away. But in film school and outside of film school, I got really into writing and storytelling. And I was like, you know what? I have the perfect idea. This idea that had been sitting in my head and from 2018 on, it just came back and I said, this is the story for comics. And that was Armored. And the idea, that first kernel of an idea was a kid finds a medieval suit of armor. It's got powers and it's being haunted by a goofy ghost that's completely out of time. Kind of like Aladdin. You know, I kept thinking of the genie, like how Aladdin has the genie and he's so goofy. I was like, oh, that'd be fun. That was just the idea I had at first. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so first off, your storyline of life kind of mirrors mine. So thank you for sharing that, by the way.
No
And it
problem.
also makes me feel like, okay, so I'm not that insane crazy and did this very much the same things. I love it. It feels validating. So we have this idea. So how do we get to work? How do we reach out to artists? Because you're from the film world. How do we
Yeah.
get a comics creator, or excuse me, how do we get an illustrator to bring your story ideas into, comic book form? How did you find the team? So
Yeah.
where did you start?
I love that question because, I didn't know. And I feel like there's still a lot of people that don't know. And at the time, I was working in animation. So, and I still work in animation, but I didn't know what to do. I was like, what do I do with the script? I've written the script now, and I spent a lot of time looking at, how they include the scripts in the back of those absolute editions and
Yeah.
stuff that DC puts out. I spent a lot of time examining scripts, and I was like, okay, this is how I want to write mine. Um, and once I had the script, I was like, okay, now I need an artist. And I knew an art director in animation who worked on some Venom books, some Avengers books. He did the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad book. I don't
Oh
know if you
yeah,
know
yeah. When they're
that.
doing like
Went
the
from
Disney Marvel
Yeah, yeah,
adaptations.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had done that, and I was just like, "Can you read the script? Is it any good? Like, can you just tell me to give up if it's not good?" And he loved it, and he had such good things to say about it, and I was hoping he would do it, but he didn't have the time. He went on to do art directing duties on, TV show or something. And then he didn't know how I should get an artist. Like I was like, what do I do? And I just literally went into Google and wrote how to find artists for comic book. And the first thing that popped up was a Facebook page that's connecting writers with artists. And it's a Facebook page everyone should join if you're interested in making a comic. It might be hard to find an artist through it, but what I did is I found an editor. And
Mm.
I ended up hiring this editor named Chris Stevens, and he's an Eisner Award-winning writer. So he had won Eisners in the past, and I was like, wow, this guy's an editor now. And I was familiar with a few of his books that he had edited, and so I immediately hired him. That was the first step, and then
Yeah.
he kind of showed me how we're going to get this made. He introduced me to Ishmael. That was the process, though. And you don't need to hire an editor. That's just what I did, right? Like
Oh
you could
yeah.
just go straight and hire a writer, but I wanted someone to really give me feedback on the script. I wanted it to be the best script possible before we got started.
I love that. Yeah, because the editor is somewhat outside of that process in
Yeah,
a way. So
exactly.
yeah, can definitely help focus. And I'm very familiar with Chris Stevens' work. So yeah,
Oh, good.
amazing. So that I love that for you that you were able to get that in formulating, putting your team together for this.
Yes.
So okay, but you're so we're the screenwriter now. We got an artist. We're comic writing.
Yeah.
What was that journey like of, okay, we got him on board, but now, and you've read, like you said, the absolute editions to kind of figure out your script this way. You had Chris, proofreading a little bit. What was, as you started to churn these the as Ishmael came on board, he starts churning the pages. You're seeing the layouts come back.
Yeah.
Are you approving, or are you going in a final? What was that journey like? In I can only speak for myself, maybe, and you can tell me for yourself. It's like the most amazing journey to see. It's different. It's different with film, right? That's also super dope. It's all special in its own way, right? But getting that, but then there's also kind of a different way in the process. Can you just expand on like that journey and maybe notes that helped dictate future writing with that? Because it's a different type of writing.
Totally. Yeah, because like with a screenplay, I don't describe
Yeah.
nearly as much as I describe in a comic book. Like I'm right down to every panel, what each panel looks like, what's in each panel. In a script, it's like character walks into the room, there's a wooden table, and then
Yep.
dialogue and some action. Um, with this, it was just like, oh my god, I have to be the director now. You know,
Hmm.
in a movie script, you're not directing. You're leaving camera angles up to the director and the DOP. So that was the biggest challenge at first. But after that hurdle, obviously, and I got Chris on board, seeing the pages come in from Ishmael was like blew my mind because Ishmael's layouts are also like pretty much perfect. I'm just
Super
like,
tight.
yeah, I don't know what am I here for? Why what's going on? He's so good at storytelling, like on a static page. The emotion, the movement, everything. Honestly, I don't even remember the notes. There was a lot of notes when it came to design. Like I was very much like, no,
Yeah.
I want the armor to look like this. And Ishmael, he lives in Spain, and I felt like the first iterations of the armor were very sleek, and I want to say Spanish,
Mm.
but maybe not. That it might. I could be completely incorrect about his influence, but I felt like it was. I was like, no, I want it like medieval Spawn. Like, give it some weight. Like, it's got
Ah,
to be like
yeah.
this kid's got to think this is cool. I got a medieval suit of armor. Um, so in the design phase, I was very particular. I was sending him photos from movies. Like, no, he's got to look like this. Got to look like that. But once the pages were coming in, I was like, oh damn, this is it. There's
He's
not.
got it.
And then it was Chris with his critical eye, with like he would even recommend Ishmael flipping panels because
Mm.
like the word balloons would fit better. And like, thank God I wouldn't have known that stuff. Like
Yeah.
that attention to detail, I relied on Chris for because I wouldn't have noticed. I just kept saying it all looks good. What do I say? And
I
now over time and working with him on multiple issues, I know like he does these killer splash pages. So I'm always like, I gotta fit in a splash. I need a splash page. What's he gonna do? And then in issue 6, I was like, well, let's have him do a double page splash.
I'd love that.
Yeah,
I just love. I'm a process guy. As a creative,
yeah.
how we can improve our process. How do we learn to not be overly descriptive, which is different, as you know, different from the screenwriting to comics, where you try to be a little bit more descriptive. But then also for myself, and you can tell me for you as well, you try not to be overly descriptive, so that way it holds your artist back because you want them to have the freedom to just flow and give their energy.
Which I
Um,
don't know if I knew that much. Like now I'll hand in a script and say it's 6 panels, and he comes back with 5. It's way better than what I had described. Way, way better. So I'm like, I trust him completely, and I'm not like, I've even written like a note like, just try to capture this essence, but I'll leave it up to you. I always write it. It's up to you as a note. Just come back with what you got. It will be better, I'm sure.
I love it. I love how when you dabble in both realms, it can
Yeah.
inform the work, and
Yeah.
it helps you improve as a writer and as a creative.
Totally.
So you pound out. So let's talk about the first uh, volume, I guess, if you will. You have this first 5 issues.
Yeah.
You have this Kickstarter campaign that you're gonna have in active right now. Everybody, go support. Link in the description below.
Yes.
Go do that.
Yes.
Pause
We want
this.
backers. Get more backers.
Let's talk about that, and then I think it's also going to arrive with issue 6, but we're trying to make it the movement towards the next batch
Yeah.
of stories, correct?
Totally. So this yeah, they our Clover Press kickstarted the first 2 issues. That was the first campaign, and that was 2 years ago. Oh my God, it's already been 2 years. Coming up in a few months, it'll have been 2 years since they kickstarted the first 2, but it wasn't released till last year, the first issue, and then the entire series got released. They did do a Kickstarter for issues 3, 4, and 5 as well, so they did like a 1 to 5, and now this is that collected edition in a hardcover. Um, what was the question again? I'm totally like,
Oh, no
where
worries,
am
no
I? Yeah,
worries.
yeah.
So this right now the campaign is to this new kind of hardcover graphic novel
It is the
edition of the
hardcover.
first 5, along
Yeah,
with issue 6, I believe, or a preview of where we're
yeah.
heading with
So
the franchise.
this is a perfect jumping off point. Like, if you want to get into the story, now's the time to do it. Like, you can't, I don't even know how easy it would be. Maybe it would be okay, but I know issue 4 sold out and issue 5 sold out from Diamond. So it might be a bit more difficult to get the later issues. But if you jump on this campaign, you're getting the whole story, plus you're getting a bonus 10-page story. And you can add on issue 6, which is the start of the next arc. And you'll really see where we're going with this. For anyone that's seen the covered issue 6, you can see it on the Kickstarter campaign. We introduce a whole new character who also has a haunted suit of armor, but they're from China. So it's like we're starting to find out that there are more people in the world with these haunted suits of armor.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Check out some of the covers, y'all, behind me.
Yeah.
And I have to give a nod. David Mack is a good friend. You got my man David Mack
Oh man,
on
yeah.
this. I love it. And then also Jay Lee, like
Yeah.
that behind you. You got both of them.
Yeah.
What was it like bringing them on board? Who hooked that up? Was that Chris Stevens?
Yeah, that was Chris Stevens. So that was oh my God. When Chris said, I think I can get, Jay at first. That was the first one. I was like, what? Like, really? That was mind-boggling. And then when it came in, I was like, whoa. And what's even crazier is he came up with this concept of like it's the ghost morphing, like kind of so on your screen, I don't know if you're above or below for me, but just behind you on the Francesco Tomaselli cover, the ghost in the blue there, that's his fully formed. But what Jay came up with was like, this is him coming out of the armor and forming. He's not fully the ghost as we know him. And it's so funny. This cover totally inspired the next arc. Like what happens in so right after issue 6, so it'd be issue 2 of the second arc or chapter 2 of the second arc. Something crazy happens with Sir William the Ghost, and it all was inspired by this cover.
Oh, amazing. I love that. I love how you can, how we get inspired as creatives,
Yeah.
with certain parts that we're doing. And you may like think you're going on a certain path, but then something kind of, I think this might fit a little bit better for right now. We'll return back to that path, but
Yes.
You get inspired. I love that.
And then David, when we were, coming up on the later issues, it was like, and he told me we can get David. It was like, oh man, I was a huge fan of his Daredevil run. So to have these masters doing covers for me was like, and he also got Becky Clune in to do a cover. It was just crazy. Chrissy Zulo did a cover for us. Yeah.
It's like a murderer's row of just killers, man. Just amazing artists. I love that for you, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
So where are we going for the people that might have already read this first arc? Again, we want people to check out, get the new Kickstarter campaign and get the new graphic novel, first 5 and all the other bonus content. Where are we going for the fans already?
The first arc really is about this boy who is adopted by this strange So this boy lost his parents 2 years ago to mysterious circumstances. They don't know. He just woke up one day and they were gone. 2 years, 2 years after that happens, he's finally adopted by this couple, and the couple lost their only child around the same time he lost his parents. And they're a bit strange. He feels like he's being replaced by these people. Some kids in town know that their son was killed by a monster, but no one else believes them. And so Andy, the main character, goes to the castle where the boy died and ends up falling into this old tomb where he finds the armor. And the ghost that's haunting the armor, him and the ghost have to team up basically and figure out what killed that boy, what's going on, who summoned that creature. And that's the story. That's the first arc. So that story is kind of wrapped up, but the mysteries as to like what happened to his parents. There's a character that's introduced at the end of issue 5. That character becomes kind of a main character in the next arc and works with Andy on a new mystery. And so that's where we're headed. We're now building we're opening up the world of Armored in this next arc. We're finding out there's other people with haunted suits of armor. What's the connection between them? Introduce a new villain, and it's like, he has a connection to the villain from the first arc. It's a whole big story. It really is like, I really tried to write something that was like Stranger Things that adults could enjoy, kids could get into if you're not too scared. That was kind of the goal.
I love that. So so is it like every 5 issues is a new arc?
That's the plan. Always. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So how far out in the future are we planned out? Do you know the end game, if you will?
So I know the end game. I know the last arc,
Okay.
but and I know the arc. So it really is dependent. I have to admit, it really depends on how well does the book do.
Yes.
Regardless, I want to tell the whole story, and it will get told.
Yeah.
But how fast and in how many issues all depends on, is right now there's an audience. People are really into it. Whenever I'm at a con, people are always asking when's the next issue coming out, or when's the hardcover coming out, or when's the collected edition. So there is like a fan base there. I just need the word out more, like I need more
Definitely.
people to pick it up, try it out. I always tell people, I will send you the PDF of issue 1. No problem. You want to read the first issue to give it a shot? Just try it. That's the hardest part, is getting someone to try a new book.
Exactly.
So with that said, I could end it in 3 books. Easy.
Yeah.
I'm not ending it in the next arc. It's just not happening. But
Yeah.
I could, but there's just so much story to tell. I think it would feel a bit rushed.
Oh, of
I mean,
course. Of course.
the
We want this to
perfect
go forever,
yeah.
Michael.
No, it won't go. It is finite.
Well, yeah, we want to get to that end game that you have in your head, obviously. We don't want somebody else telling that story.
Yeah.
But, in regards to supporting.
Yeah, 8 books, like eight volumes would be perfect.
Okay.
But we could do it in 4. There's so many great arcs that I have ideas for that are just so much fun.
And who
And
knows,
then
you might get Jay Lee drawing something else again and getting inspired.
yeah. I have so many spin-off ideas too. Like I could go anywhere with that, especially when you read issue 6. I cram in an entire character's story into like 5 or 6 pages, and I'm like, I would love it if I could get another creative team to do the full story.
Hell yeah. Love
Yeah.
that. Awesome. All right. One of the big questions I always have or comes to mind as a fellow comic creator slash filmmaker, for we see it with Hollywood. They're mining the comics world. It's rampant. Even the indie stuff beyond just Marvel, DC. You have your foothold in that world. Has there been with the critically the acclaim that you got last year? You have this second part launching off. Has there been any discussions? Have you had any friends, management, like taking a look at this? Because this, for me personally, who straddles both worlds, this concept seems like it's somewhat doable and not too expensive, if you will. I don't know. I still got to
Yeah.
read more. I don't know how
Yeah, yeah.
elaborate you're going
Well,
on
yeah,
with this Black
you're right. Like,
Man,
I have this brain where, I live in Canada, right? And so budgets aren't really big. And I knew this could never be made in Canada, especially since it is set in a European country.
Okay.
But I did try to keep it somewhat contained to a small town. I'm very aware of the locations. It was like, if this was going to be made, we could make it for, it's not Avengers level. We're not going to space. We're not going, it's like there's a castle, a house, and
Yeah.
a school. So, yeah, I'm aware of budgets. I do think about that a little bit, but the industry's weird right now. Like, I work in visual
Yeah.
effect. I
Yeah.
work in animation, and it is bad right now. It
Yeah.
is really, really,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
the streamers have cut back on what they're acquiring, what they're buying, what they're making. So someone told me I think it was last night, I was talking to someone, and pilot season used to be like 200 pilots. Now we're down to 50 this year or something. I don't know.
It's insane in our world right now.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, but we can't let that dim our light.
No, we can't. But with that said, I have had interest from a studio. Have had an exec actually request copies of the book for the team. The issue is all of the studios are in a place where they are being cautious,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of timing. So it's just a matter of when does it get pitched internally to make sure we don't waste that pitch.
Yeah.
So there is interest. It's just there's no bite, or there's no pitch yet. So it's not like it's been pitched and rejected. It's just not happened. So it's about timing. And I think the graphic novel is what a lot of places wait for. They want to see it as a whole book. They want to
Yeah.
see it out on store shelves. How does it do? Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the medium is a perfect way to test it. I know other fellow film that are testing these worlds out. You know, it's conducive because you can do so much with this. Then the budget you're constrained. You know, on the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
So would you have a would you have the feature and do you have the feature in your head for like a first film if were to get greenlit? Do you have that story in mind? Would it
Well,
cover certain arcs
okay,
already?
so you've probably read like the first couple issues or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Read 3, 4, and 5. It's a
Oh,
movie. It's how, and so I structured it. I basically took a, I imagined it. What if I was writing this as a movie? And then I said, I threw that out and said, okay, now I have to write it for a comic. And I want, because my favorite writer is Jeff Johns, and I always find he's the master of that, like that final page or that midpoint of a comic's like, oh my God moment, those cliffhangers. And so I was like, I want a cliffhanger at the end of every single issue, and I want the middle of every issue to have somewhat of a oh my God moment. And so that's how I wrote it. Was first I thought of it as a movie, and then it was like, now I need to throw that out and
yeah.
reconceive it as a comic. So you'll see it could easily be turned into a movie, the first 5 issues, or you could take those first 5 issues and really blow it up and make it a TV series even.
Ooh, I love that. I'm starting to like really jump more into that, and especially on a creative standpoint,
Yeah.
because you can just expand things out so much. You have to keep things so tight when you're working on the feature. You know, as a writer.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, miniseries all the way to go. Netflix, Prime Video.
yeah.
Shout out
Come on,
to you
Netflix.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a Netflix movie already. It's a kids movie, but
Hey,
yeah.
yeah, Gnome Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats. I have to have you back. I want to talk more creative stuff with you
Sure,
on that
man.
end.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you were to make this, would you take anything out that you might have thought might work a little bit better?
I
You know,
actually would add. I would
that's
add
generally, yeah.
because like you know, there's I could have made this like a 12 issue series or something, but I know that especially I don't know if you feel this way when you're collecting comics, but I want a lot of story in a single issue. I don't want to spend like the 5.99 and then be like, damn, nothing happened because it's been stretched out to like 10 issues. I was like, I want a full story and I don't want people to have to spend a ton of money to get it. It was like 5 is the max. And but I cut back on so much story that I would love to add so much more to it, you
Yeah.
know?
I
Yeah.
love that. I'm with you on that. Yeah. Well, Michael, man, thank you for your time and sharing. Let me remind everybody again, go support the campaign right now on Kickstarter. Link is going to be in the description below so we can get this amazing graphic novel re-release if you missed out last year on the first 5 issues, and then you get the bonus content. And we got to make the next volume happen. So just
Yes, please.
support. Let's start the hashtag we want the armored film, all of those
Yeah.
things.
And
So
and
Michael can deliver it.
I will be honest that this campaign really is to reinvest in the next arc. That really is what this is. That's what I look at every Kickstarter as like, okay, that's to push the next one forward. You know, whatever I made on the last Kickstarter was for issue 6. And now it's like whatever we do here, it's got to be to move the story forward.
Let's make this happen for Michael, y'all. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Outside of Armored, again, like you said, you work in visual effects. Is there anything else we can also shine a light on and also throw the socials at the people so they can follow you and support and do all the things?
Oh, well, there's so much stuff I have coming out. I have like an adult horror movie that'll be coming out next year to film festivals that I co-wrote with the director. I just finished another R.L. Stein movie, writing a script for R.L. Stein.
I read about that. I
Yeah.
have to have you back. When all those other
Okay.
projects drop, please come back so we can talk.
Of course, I would love to come back. And then I have another graphic novel that we're looking to. We'll have more info about it soon, but
Yeah.
we're looking at possibly kickstarting it through Clover Press will release it. Probably kickstart it at the end of the year, like in November.
Okay.
It's a book I co-wrote with Rachel Schaefer, who's my partner, and the art is done by an Italian artist named Gaia Cardinali. And it's edited by Chris Stevens again. It's got a cover by Tula Lotte. I'm very excited about that book. It's another ghost story. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah,
Awesome. So it's like Ghost, you're like your medium.
I'm
like,
in
or
my
like
ghost phase. I'm in my ghost phase right now.
the
you
ghost
know?
phase. I
Yeah,
love it.
but the next one after, I'll be in a different. It'll be different.
Okay, we're staying in the supernatural. We're
Supernatural. Yeah,
feeling
yeah.
that right now. Michael,
Exactly.
a pleasure chatting it up with you, sir. I can't wait to finish up, this first batch, and then obviously gonna support this campaign and see where you're coming next with it. And then also, like I said, all these other projects you have coming along, please come back so we can show love and show
course.
support and get the word out. Because as you know, we in order to live our dreams, we need y'all to support us and help us out.
Yes.
Let's make it happen. Michael, pleasure meeting and chatting with you, sir.
You as well. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. That is Michael Schwartz, creator, writer behind Armored. Go support the campaign. Links in the description below. All the handles are in the links below. I'm KUYA P. Nerds rule the world.
Nerds rule the world.
Pleasure chatting with you. Love to all my nerds who rule the world.
Nerds rule the world.
Yes, we do.
Thanks. Nerds rule the world. Thank you.
I love the nerds ruling the world, so more power to you.
Patrick, what up, man? And yes, they do. Nerds rule the world, kid.
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying? I'm one of
Thank
them.
you. Awesome. KUYA P. Nerds rule the world. Hello.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Nerds rule the world.
I gotta.
It's in the title of your show, like Nerds Rule the World. Like, I want more Black weirdos on screen, and I don't feel like we ever get to see that very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Nerds
appreciate
do
it.
rule the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you,
Nerds rule. Love it.
Hello, Sarah. Hello, Julian.
Yes,
Rock on. I love it. Thank you so much.
It's good to see you. I love Nerds Rule the World.
But yeah, there's a heavy nerd component, man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you ask me, nerds rule the world. So
absolutely.
And you're right. Nerds do rule the world.
We're just the best.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
So much.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
It's your boy KUYA P. Nerds rule the world. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
do. They rule the world all right.
Yes. Take care, Tony. Thank you, guys. Recording. All right, I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1. Bring us in, and we'll have some fun. Here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.